Hey there, this lesson is going to be all about string methods in JavaScript, looking at trim, changing the case to upper, lowercase, splitting, slicing, replacing, last index of, index of. There's a lot of options when it comes to strings, covering those within this section. So string methods, they allow you to update and manipulate string values. You can search, you can slice. So there's a lot of things that you can do that is similar to what you can do with arrays, where we do have a paragraph here. So we've got a string value here. We can search for a particular term and then look and find the index value of that term. You can also see that we can get that back, so we know which the index value is and where it's occurring within the string. So it's finding the first index value of, it's returning back just that one. There's also some additional options with strings. And as you can see, there's quite a bit that you can do with string methods. There's a bunch of examples here where it's looking for index value of blue, so it's returning 0 if it's not finding it. So because blue is the first value within the string, if we're looking for blue t, it's going to return back a -1. So that means that it wasn't found within the string. If we're looking for whale, comma 0, so it's going to return back 5, which is going to be the first character of blue whale is. If we're looking at whale, comma 5, we're also going to be returned back 5. So this is a parameter that you can pass in, because the whale is starting at 5. But if we start at 7, then we're going to get a -1 because it's not going to be able to find that within the. And here's another example of checking to see if blue is contained. And notice that it is case sensitive. So blue lowercase is not the same as blue uppercase. So it's going to be returning back a -1. And we also can check to see if it doesn't exist. So if we're not getting a -1 because it does exist, so it's true. And as you can see, there's a number of ways to check. So you can have negate it as well as equal it to -1, and a number of different ways to check to see if something exists within a string. Some more examples. So in this example here, it displays 4 because E is within the 4th position index value of that particular string value. Let's try this out within our editor. All right, so now let's create a string in the editor, and this can contain any content that you want. You can search for the same values that I'm going to be looking for, create your own string. I'm going to have some numbers in there, and we'll repeat JavaScript twice so I can show you that there are different ways if you want to return back several different words within that string. So refresh, and we've got my string value. So when we output it, it is definitely a string value in there. We can get the length of the string, so doing length. We can see how many characters are contained within the string. I'll log these all out into the console, so my string, getting the length. Also trim the string. So if, for instance, we've got some spaces in the front and in the back, we can use the trim method. And what that will do is that's going to remove out all of that white space there. So see that now we've got the trimmed version of it using the myStringTrim. Whereas if we just put out the string, you can see that it is slightly different. So we've got all of the white space in that one. There's no white space in this one. So that's what trim can do. It allows you to trim your string. You can also convert it, so converting the case. So there's to uppercase to lowercase. So using to lowercase, that will turn all of the string values to lowercase, as you can see in the example. You can also use several of them together if you wanted to, so trim and trimming them as well as converting them to lowercase, so you can chain them together in that format. There's also, as we saw, lowercase, and then there's uppercase as well, so we can convert it to uppercase, and it'll do the same thing, except it will do the opposite, where it'll turn all of the string values to uppercase. We can also split string values, so we've got our string that we've been using, and if we want to split it into an array, so splitting it by the spacing, so this will split out all of the words into an array. And this is a useful function because then you can use this in order to search out for different words, or you can loop through them. And then you could apply a bunch of the array methods that are also really super useful. So turning a string into an array, this is a great one. How you're splitting it, so you can split it by commas, or you can split it by different letters. So whatever works. So in this case, we split it by the comma. If I wanted to, I could take a character, I could split it by that as well. And you can see now it's got all split via the A. And notice another thing too, when it does the split, that it actually removes the character from that array. So in this case, if we're removing the spaces, we don't see any of the spaces, we just see the words. So if we want to find out which character is at index value 9, for example, you can see that it's going to return back R, because R is in the 9th spot. That's the one that's returning R. I'm going to comment these out. Treat a string just as you would an array. So if we want to get whatever character is at 9, so just as we do character at, we can do the myString9, just getting it by the index value. You can also use the myString to return a part. So we know that R is in the 9th spot, and if we take the 7th spot, so that should give us the W. If we want to just return back world, we can extract that from the string using slice, where we can have a starting position, and in this case we did want to start it at 7, so refresh and we get the string back starting at the 7th position. You can also specify what index value you want to stop the slice at, so let's try 12 and we refresh, so that gives us the ability to pull out the word world out of the string. We also have another way to do this, or do some similar functionality where we can select substring. And substring returns a subset of the string between one index and another, or through the end of the string. So it works the same way as we saw with slice, where we're taking a substring value, where if we want to have a starting position of 7 and an ending position of 12, you can see it returns back world as well. There's also one more option, so there's quite a few options here, and this is a shorter format of substring, which returns back characters in the string beginning at a specified location through the number of characters. So if we do substring 12, you're going to see that returns back 12 characters. So if we want to only return back world, you can use substring 7, starting position 7, and returning back 5 characters after that, and that returns back world. So there are slight differences to these, and depending on what the situation is, you can use either one in order to accomplish what you're trying to find. You can also replace content within the string. So if we wanted to, for instance, output, and I'm going to create another one where we're just going to output these values into the console, because I know we've got quite a lot going on in this console. So setting up, and I'm going to have a variable called output, and we're just going to declare that for now. And then within the code, we're going to set a value of output and then log out output into the console. And we'll just output that. So that's our current string that we're using right now. And if we wanted to replace content within the string, we can use the replace method. So it looks for a pattern within a string and then does the replacing. So this is another really useful one. So if you want to look for the word love and change it to enjoy, so maybe you find you don't really love JavaScript, you enjoy JavaScript, so it will rework the string and it will update those values. So you can set it as well to myString if you wanted to. So if you could update the current string, or you can create a new variable to hold the new value. We saw that we can get the first index value, and we can also get the last index value. The string object and index of, and looking for the index of, and in this case, let's do JavaScript because we do have 2 of those words in there. We can see that the starting position of JavaScript is 13, whereas if we want to do last index of, this will return the last occurrence of the word. So we just put last in front of index of, and this should be uppercase, and refresh, and you can see the last index. So this JavaScript is starting at position 47. So you can use these in combination as well, where you can slice out a word if you want, if you know it's going to be 9 characters, and you can get the starting index value using any one of these index of or last index. You can also search within the index. So output is going to be equal to my string and search. So it executes a search for a pattern between a regular expression and a string object. So we can search for a particular word. In this case, we'll just use JavaScript again, because it makes a lot of sense within this course. We're searching and we're getting the same result as we did with index of, because it's returning our index position of that search result. We're going to look at these in more detail as well later on within this section when we look at regular expressions. Hey, don't go anywhere yet. This lesson's not concluded. I want you to try out the string methods that we've been showing you within this lesson. So turn a string into an array of words, replace the content, update the output of the string, have some fun, try out the different string methods that we've covered.